Alright, today I want to talk about Atlas, the insanely ambitious 40,000 player open world pirate game from the creators of Ark Survival Evolved. To start off with, let me make something very clear. This isn't some everything we know about Atlas video that will go obsolete within a matter of hours or as soon as the developers tweet or a new article surfaces. This is an exploration into the scope and ambition of the project and also a pseudo-style warning against overhype and false expectations. Atlas is ambitious, to say the very least, with a map advertised as being thousands of times the size of Ark, which was already a large area. It will hold up to 40,000 players on one singular globe. Traversing that space will take dozens of real-world hours, and overall, the game is constructed to have as many immersive systems as possible, all under one roof. Literal player aging mechanics have been discussed, extensive crafting, boss encounters, faction and clan wars with vast open world PvP potential, and really what it boils down to is they have thrown everything in the kitchen sink at this game. Because of that, even with relatively no marketing whatsoever, the gaming community has perked up to it. A lot of these buzzwords and phrases have turned heads, and even yesterday, as the website release clock ticked down to 0, the game took over the #1 spot on Twitch by a massive margin. When the clock finally hit 0, the game was due to be released. Nothing. And eventually a tweet went out saying that the game had been delayed by 2 days until the end of the week on Friday. Now this, to me, was 100% expected, though I did anticipate the delay to be even longer, truthfully. The website crashed because of the colossal influx in viewership, and had the game gone ahead and launched into, quite literally, almost every single top streamer on Twitch, prepped and waiting with their entire audience, constantly refreshing the Steam page, it would have crashed and burned in seconds and remained unplayable for hours. We need to be very clear here, and I don't want to sound like a total downer, but this seems to be increasingly necessary nowadays. When looking at historical references such as Ark Survival Evolved and similar titles, when considering their original launch state and the scope of their projects, when also understanding that Atlas is proposed to have a 2-year early access period before full release, and taking into consideration the sheer size of their proposed project, with 40,000 players in a shared world, non-region locked map, with all the listed systems encompassed within the game, it is likely going to be a complete and utter disaster at and beyond launch day, at least in its early stages. I do not say disaster as to discredit the game, diminish anyone's interest, or turn them away completely. I say disaster with the hope that players load up the emerging game eventually with realistic expectations. On launch day, whenever that comes, it will almost certainly fall apart completely and be unplayable for a decent duration. Beyond that, lag, desync, and stability issues will plague the game, based on the simple fact that regardless of their player dispersal methods, that many player assets loading in and out of a complete shared world will be unbelievably taxing on your system. I've discussed the project with a lot of friends already, and the consensus seems to be that it could be a groundbreaking project if executed in a successful way. With the collection of systems and an emphasis on hardcore survival in such a wide open space, there is more potential than I have seen in a very long time. But due to the nature of travel time and real and tangible losses of investment when participating in PvP encounters, extended crafting times, and various other hardcore-oriented systems, players need to be prepared to accept the game for what it is, not what their favorite streamer hypes it up to be. As I stared at the Twitch directory, overrun with massive variety streamers spamming the refresh button on Steam, it hit me that most to nearly all of them were likely to be gone within a matter of days, or even hours after release. When the game launches and is what should be expected from most early access titles, that is to say a likely complete mess, most creators will move on in a heartbeat, and with them, the large audience subsection that simply buys whatever game they stream just to play what they do. This could manifest an interesting phenomenon where fickle and fleeting mass player interest drives a player base spike on launch that is so high the servers cannot and could never have handled those numbers. Because of that downtime or instability caused by player influx, huge amounts of players leave the game due to impatience, and those that remain are faced with a giant glitchy world that lacks the population to support their ambitious systems. I am not saying that that is an inevitability or even perhaps a likelihood, but it is a definite possibility, and anyone hyping this game up and counting the hours till release, especially those that are only doing so because of some fair weather streamer, should be warned that this is a project that is screaming at the top of its lungs, long-term project with a rocky start. The thing about Atlas is, despite having done almost no mainstream marketing whatsoever, it has managed to build massive interest. It's mostly because of their keywords and their game description, but also it can be attributed to an existing fan base of similar previous titles associated with that developer. Regardless of why, the game has fans already, though fans may be the wrong word. The game has watchers, avid watchers, and in an industry where marketing budgets sometimes dwarf the actual development budget for AAA games, this is a situation that deserves recognition and praise, but all too often, user interest and hype escalate in such a rampant fashion they exceed the realm of reason and become completely unachievable. Hype levels that high, which is a sad yet chronic effect, set games up for failure since they can never be met, ever, and it is my hope that Atlas does not fall prey to this. As far as I can tell, it's a risk, an ambitious one at that, and such leaps are required in the gaming industry to keep the competitive playing field on its toes. But gamers just lose their heads nowadays, and they have almost like seizure-level excitement overloads. It's really pathetic and damaging. If Atlas delivers on even a fraction of what it proposes and promises, there will be a huge amount of content. Building up social systems with clan or guild warfare, businesses, and large crews is all something that projects longevity, but players need to get through the early rocky stages first. The landscape is primed for a release like this, because of the letdown that Sea of Thieves turned out to be. Other pirate open worlds like Skull and Bones from Ubisoft, they're not out yet, and even then have a far different approach with a large emphasis on the ship itself rather than the individual. Gamers have a sort of idealistic fantasy about open world games and the size of their map. Bigger is perceived to be better, but with a game like Atlas that has made it very clear the hardcore survival aspects will be emphasized, it may make voyages very draining and very difficult. One will likely not be able to simply set sail and go anywhere they want, whenever they want, and participate in any activity within their 2 or 3 hour play session, since traversing the globe can take dozens of hours, and even then voyages require food, segmented stops, and the wind may not even be in your favor for that whole duration. Many typical casual gamers that fit today's industry norm will get frustrated and bored very, very quickly. I personally stand in awe of what Atlas is attempting to create. It's inspiring to see this, when an upcoming game seems to break molds and push the industry further, but healthy skepticism needs to be maintained, even well beyond release day, as patches become the life's blood of this ambitious project. The game is on PC exclusively at the moment, and with that, because of the sheer world size and cooperative emphasis, low-end machines will almost certainly be unable to run the game smoothly. Even higher-end rigs in early stages, which may last quite a while, by the way, will potentially struggle without mass amounts of optimization, and again, players need to be prepared for this. As a potential solution to this problem, be prepared, I am about to discuss a channel sponsor and do a sort of ad promotion, but it's very relevant. A service called Shadow exists that lets users stream gameplay and inputs from a remote data center that holds high-powered hardware and is their sort of remote gaming PC. In essence, as long as you have a decent internet connection, you are sending your inputs to a remote gaming machine that processes everything, renders it for you, and then streams the video back to you. To be clear, this does come with a relatively small amount of lag. Because of that, I won't be advertising this service for games like PUBG or other battle royales, for reflex FPS games, or similar highly competitive games that prioritize split-second aiming all the time. But for games like Atlas, which is an RPG, pirate-oriented open-world game that, has crafting and social aspects as the main focus, Shadow can be fantastic for those, and it allows players to experience the game on max settings and without performance issues that most other machines would encounter. You can stream Shadow gameplay to pretty much any device, any laptop or tablet, etc., and they have been kind enough to provide our community with a hefty discount if you use the code UEG at checkout. If you want to try it out, maybe give PC gaming a try, but don't want to build your own rig or buy a pre-made one just yet, then give it a look. And again, use code UEG at checkout, and it will give you a big discount. And you'll also support the channel, of course. Now, yes, that was a sponsorship plug, but it's over now. I don't want to downplay what Atlas may become, but I will say with confidence it will not be polished at launch. It may even be a total comparative disaster. I likewise don't want to spend a long duration dissecting trailer segments and extrapolating information, because at such an early stage, most to all of what we see may be subject to change, and a lot of it, like huge changes. But I do also want to make it clear that games like Atlas, that do not go far outside their lane to advertise on massive budgets, yet still generate large levels of interest because of their outlined vision, should be tracked carefully, because those games, when they exist, can be beacons of potential and example within the industry, over time at least. I plan to stream Atlas, I think, perhaps if and when it becomes playable on moderately powered machines, that is, and I also plan to cover it in video form, but be prepared for a measured and possibly critical tone since the game does have such aspiring ambition. That's pretty much it for today, though. At the very least, I believe that Atlas will be fun to track and follow over the next weeks or months, and regardless of how it ends up, it can already be seen as an interesting phenomenon in terms of marketing, or lack thereof, hype, vision, scope, and more. Let me know what you guys think about the game down in the comments below. Quite a few people were discussing it during my latest live stream, and there were some interesting thoughts voiced, so it would be great to keep that discussion going. Based on ARC, I think we have a decent picture of the game's likely path forward, but then again, it's a whole new game that was articulated to be in the vicinity of 12,000 times the size of ARC, which that's insane. That really is going to wrap it up, though. The holidays are almost here. For those dedicated viewers who made it this far in the video, I will be out of town from the 27th of December to the 1st of January 2019, and I'll still be posting in the lead up to that, but while I'm gone, it will probably be radio silence. Just wanted to keep everyone informed. If you do want to support the channel, check out the links down below. There's Shadow, if you're interested, again with code UEG at checkout, a Facebook group, Discord server, and our own gaming forums. As always, thank you for watching, and have a nice night.